Welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. This is your host, Scotty B. Today, I want to talk about good content versus constant content because I think there might be a little bit of a difference. You can have the same thing. You can constantly put out good content, but it is a lot more likely that the constant content gets in the way of the quality of the program that you are putting out constantly. What is good? What does the internet think is good? How do you know it's good? How do you know what you're putting out has any quality or value? Is it really just what isn't being suppressed by the algorithm? Is it all just in the judgment of Instagram's eyes for which that you put out? Is it all in YouTube's lens? The only things that you're ever doing are just things that the platform wants. The only things that you're doing are things that everybody else wants. Yeah, there's something to that, but that doesn't necessarily make the content good. It just makes it content that people are likely to click on and people are looking and getting bait and switched into or something like that. There are definitely a set of things that you can put into a video that will definitely make it more clickable and likable. I mean, it's all about taking your time with the little details, taking your time with the descriptions, taking your time with the thumbnail for a video, taking your time with the content and the pacing of a video. And yes, sometimes I just want to make the video. I don't always think about like all of the little details that go into it because I'm a one-man army and I don't have just like a team of production people that work on the quality aspects of the video. And I generally don't like to reshoot things either. There are ways to get around that. You know, you can jump cut things. The thing with me is I think that if I redo something, it's not going to be quite as good because it'll just be off because it won't be in the moment. You know, I need the recording to be a little bit a little bit of spontaneity involved in things that I'm saying, because if I don't, then I'll try and reinvent the wheel, I guess is what I'm saying. And that will make it not good. Do I believe that my content is good? Well, I hate to say things like I'm not the judge of that because I just told you like what is defining what good is. And I think you will know. And unfortunately, constant content is what all of these media programs want, is what social media wants. It wants you to constantly churn out content. It wants you to constantly engage with the platform because that's good for the platform. The more eyeballs and the more attention and the more watch time and the more time on platform that you are, the more likely it is for that platform to get more money from people who are advertising on it, because that means there are more opportunities. If you're on it longer, well, there's more time for people to show ads to you. Of course, that's what it's all about. But is this what cosplay wants? Does cosplay want constant content? Do you have to do it constantly? And does anyone really care if you have not a lot of content out there, if everything that you're putting out there is really quite good, if it's really well done, if you've got all of the little elements just the way that you want them and people can appreciate that? Of course, there's always going to be people who don't, so it's really hard to say. But if all you're doing is putting content out to put content out and you're not really paying attention to any of the quality of anything that you're doing, then you're not going to see much return on that. You're just going to be throwing posts out. You're just going to be throwing videos on the internet. And I've said it takes 100. Well, I haven't said it. Other people have said it too. But yeah, you do about 100 videos. And then it starts to get a little bit easier. You got to do 100 bad videos to start to get good at things. But just because you do 100 bad videos in a space of a couple of weeks doesn't mean that you're going to gain more traction. Yes, it's possible that you can because you're saturating the platform, but there's a lot that will have to go into what you're putting out. Think about a single piece of content. Think about making sure everybody knows that that single piece of content is actually available and something that they want to pay attention to. Sending messages to people and asking them, hey, I just put this video out. I'm not sure that but you might know that person, and why don't you let them know? Like, hey, the algorithm oppresses all of my stories. About 10 people get to see all of this stuff. So why don't you go ahead? I'm gonna get into the DMs and you're like, hey, I just put this out. Why don't I go check it out? I think you'll like it. You can do that with people that like, and trust. I don't recommend you just like getting into everybody's DMs and spamming them about what you're doing, but there are definitely spaces that you can put things. I know the term niche blogs used to be a thing. The niche blogs. Oh boy. But you can put a post on Reddit and you can see what that does. You can get that URL out there. You can put it in your link trees, make sure that that's being circulated. You can put it, you can design a website and you can get that website to do a lot of the work for you too. There are ways to get any single piece of content evergreen content, because once you put a video up there on the YouTubes, it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's there. So you have it there forever. Like it's not the first 3 seconds or 20 seconds of posting something on Instagram where it's actually relevant, or the first 24 hours or whatever the case is. Once you put a video online, like it's there forever, and you can reference that and you have it there, and it can continue to generate views for all time if it's quality content. Now, if you have 100 bad videos, nobody's going to bother watching them, and YouTube's just going to archive that and go, don't pay attention to this world of people uploading infinite amounts of content. What do you want to do if you're just validating yourself for the platform, if you're just buying the cosplays to put them on for the photos, put the photos online, and away that costume goes for all time? You really didn't have anything to it. It was just a pop cosplay where there was something important going on in the entertainment industry that was referencing a Marvel character, a DC character, or a new Netflix original, or a new, The Witcher came out. Something happened where you're like, oh, I'll just put this together and I'll make some content for it, and away it'll go. And that's riding a wave. We're riding trends, we're riding hashtags. But is there really anything inside of us? Is there any connection that we have with all this work that we're doing, other than we're doing the work in order to gain attention? And if that's all it is, like I've said so many times, if that's all it is, then you're going to be just in a space where, yeah, you're going to do constant content for a while, and you're just not going to want to do it anymore. I mean, even with the money coming in from something like that, like if you are making some money, like there's a little bit more incentive to keep doing it, but eventually it just burns you out. Eventually you're going to want to just put more time into those things that light you up, not the things that everybody else clicks the like button and spends less than a second of their life paying attention to. If your audience wants something, really impress them. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, really engage with them, really focus on the people that are paying attention to you. I don't want to call these people fans, because that's probably not a great word. I think it's a 4-letter word in this community, but that you can create connections online through cosplay with the fandoms. That yes, you have things to talk about because you're an expert on your own fandom, right? Like, you know what your opinion is on what you think about Firefly, or what you think about X-Men, or what you think about the Incredible Hulk or Batman, or whatever the case is. You know what you think about that, and you want to know what other people think about that. You want to see that agreement, and you want to learn more about it because they know things you don't, right? They're paying attention to things you're not paying attention to inside of that fandom. And it's fairly consistent. Maybe it's same times, same amount every single week, whatever you decide, whether it's one video and 3 posts, or 3 videos and 1 post, whatever the case is, that is how you're doing it. But now you have to figure out why you're doing it. You have to understand, what is the game plan here? What's the end game of building all these cosplays, getting all these people to follow? And now, do you feel more like a babysitter? Do you feel more like, oh, these are like, now I have to produce content because these people are looking for something. They're anticipating that I just constantly do this. This is an audience, and I have to perform for my audience over and over and over again. Or they start to get a little bit salty about everything. That's not entirely fair to the cosplayer, but is this a competition? Are you generating income? Do you want attention? Like, what's your plan? What do you want to do with it, I guess, is what I'm saying. Or do you just want to do it? And I think that is a space where people get really hard, or they get really challenged with how to define the content that they're creating and where it's going. They want the posts to succeed, but if there's no real point to it, that it's just a post to post, and to keep that content going and to be constant with it, there's so much stuff. People are spinning through it so fast. They're not appreciating anything. They're barely paying attention to any of it. It's more just acknowledgement, and almost not like, at the time that you're spending on it is so small, and it can have a big impact that you see that people are actually paying attention to you. But you have to remember, like, this, it's not that they're spending minutes. If they're sending comments, I think that's more appropriate for like a time frame, and saying like, I took the time to actually say something to someone about something that they did. Good doesn't mean scarce. Good is thought out. Good is a balance. You've learned something and you've applied it and you're getting better at it, and you can be consistent. But it doesn't mean that you have to pump out all these posts till you exhaust yourself And, finally you just finally stop pedaling the social media bike. Like you just can't do it anymore. You just run out and your bike falls over in the marathon. Everybody else keeps going. Like they're all just chugging along and you're just like, yeah, I'm done. Like I'm not going to do more. I might get back on the bike later, but no, not anymore for me, and I think we all get to that point where we just need a break. I mean, and a break that's more than like 2 hours, like for some people, like they say, like they're on a social media break and it's literally like between midnight and 6 a.m. You can't just be looking for validation from this. And if you keep doing that and you keep putting content out for the validation, if you keep just constantly churning along, feeding that beast, it doesn't mean you have to be scarce. It doesn't mean like, just one every year or something like that. Like if you have things that you're working on, put those things out there. But if you're not working on anything, do you have to just put things out there to put things out just to make sure that people are making sure that you're alive or something? It's like, you don't even know. And half these people that are looking at, just this sort of content that you post, you're just trying to engage with people to just make sure that you stay relevant. And this is, this is a space I just don't really care to be in. Being in competition with everybody on the internet is just like a ridiculous thing. And, you want to make it about the cosplay. You want to make it about the fandom and the things that you support and feel strongly about. And, like you're designing things for people, strangers on the internet to judge, like putting all this stuff out there, put it out there because you want to share it, because you think it's great. And you're like, hey, look at the thing I did. That's fine. Maybe you can teach people about stuff that you're doing and they're like looking at what you're doing and impressed with what you're doing and learning something from what you're doing. That's pretty good. There's a cause in that. Sharing the process is also just fine. But the problem that I see is that people don't want to spend time on good. They just want to spend time on, I need attention. And the cosplay is riddled with that. People going to cons, people going into different spaces on the internet and just looking for that sort of validation, looking for, I made this thing or I bought this thing, I wore it here, I'm going to get the pictures and I'm going to post them and I'm going to do the collabs or whatever it is I'm going to do, the shoots. Besides editing, I think planning and just creating what I'm going to put online is like most of what I do. Recording the videos are actually quite easy. Getting in front of the camera and taking the pictures, that's the easy part. The hard part is the editing. The hard part is the gaining engagement and staying relevant and having a purpose and a reason for doing all of this, which is really hard to build. It's easy to build the structure and the schedule for like what, but the why is the part that I think a lot of us, especially in cosplay, have a little bit of a hard time understanding or a hard time coping with, because they want to make it about staying relevant versus the cosplay, which I think that's really what it's all about. It's about doing the thing. Like the thing is cool. Let's do the thing. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us online for new content. It's going to be coming out consistently, but not constantly. And as always, the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary is a safe space for you to share your stories, tips, builds, and the causes that we should be made aware of in the community. This is Scotty B with Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary saying bye-bye, everybody.